Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 912 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Pyles, joined today by JD Rader, Ben Funky Askren, and you. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine Thursday, still in NCAA wrap-up mode. We'll probably be circling back to this tournament for the next couple months, loosely, occasionally. And we've been neglecting you in your questions, and we intend to make that right today to an extent. But first, a lot of Hodge drama going on, Ben. This is a trophy.
I don't know why there's drama.
Twice.
I think it's obvious. We had already picked the winner yesterday. It was easy.
It is actually easy. You do have to do a little bit of work. You have to look up a couple things. It took about 20 minutes, and it was really clear that Mason Parris is the rightful Hodge winner now.
But if you've been watching all season, you kind of already knew that a little bit. I mean, this is what we talk about 3 days a week, so I kind of already knew who was going to be the winner.
Yeah, I mean, not at all though, Ben. Ben, we didn't. At no point did we ever say we think Mason Parris is going to win the Hodge Trophy.
Well, after there was I don't know if you remember this, Christian. There was this guy. He was named Spencer Lee, and he was pinning everyone, and it was obvious he was going to win.
I know that, but we were never like, oh, but you know what? If Spencer loses, it'll be Mason. Or I feel like we never really got that far. But when the dust settled, which is kind of what you have to wait for with this tournament,
yes,
the choice is clear for a lot of reasons. Not only does he have a tremendously high bonus rate, and I would consider the highest relevant bonus rate, because to me it is irrelevant. And Ben may not like this take.
Can I say something here? Because I do disagree with this point you're making.
What point? I haven't made my point yet, Ben.
You just did. You said relevant bonus point.
Yeah, but that bears a little bit. What does that mean? To me, that means.
Fine. What does it mean to you?
To me, it means bonus points against NCAA qualifiers and NCAA All-Americans. That's what it means, and it doesn't mean as much to bonus a lot of non-qualifiers. Was all I was going to say.
Okay. So I would say, I guess kind of the pushback that I would give you there is like, and I maybe I'm agreeing a little bit, but part of it is that none of these bonus rates are all that discrepant. It's not like one of them is at 40% and one of them is at 90%.
Yeah.
Right. I think Mason's at 65, and then there's someone at like 71. Like those are really, really close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One match can change that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like, I don't know, to me, it's not even like they're all that different. Like, they're all really close to being in the same neighborhood, actually.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, that's the other, I mean, I kind of, like, thought the same thing. Like, when I saw him, I'm like, okay, so Starachi, Alirez, Mason, and...
maybe O'Connor.
O'Connor all have a pretty comparable bonus rate, I would say.
Yes.
So then, okay, you start at that level, pretty similar, and then you look levels deeper, and it gets a lot more clear. But then there's some chicanery afoot.
Uh-oh.
First of all,
what? Tell me. I don't even know. I actually don't know this.
The first chicanery.
I don't think that's a word.
Chicanery? Look it up.
I think it's a word. I think it's a word.
Look up chicanery. CHI.
They were saying chicanery, like shenanigans.
No,
but with a weird ending.
Chicanery. CHICANERY.
That's nerd words.
Nerd words. Nerd words. Radio Live. Boom.
Nerd alert.
Trickery. So we noticed this year there were 10 finalists, right?
Yes.
That's kind of weird.
Ridiculous.
Why is that? Well, do you know? I know factually why they did it. They did it simply because.
Why?
They did it simply because they know they cannot put Yanni on a Final Four finalist thing. So the only way they could have Yanni on the ballot is to have everyone in the ballot, because for as great as Yanni is, he has a loss this year. And as great
honestly,
and for as great as Yanni is, his bonus rate is not on par with the others. It's not close.
Not.
So, by every measurement, he would not be a finalist. But Wynn could not reconcile Yanni not being on the ballot. So they said, okay, everyone's on the ballot. And they also said, hey, we might not do this every year, but this year we did. And I think it's wrong to just every year do this kind of dealer's choice. They deceived about the tie. in the Gable Spencer year. They were dishonest and said a virtual tie. It wasn't really a tie. And then they're kind of with this 10. With this 10, if you have to call something virtual, then it's probably not really.
This is so sad to me because the Hodge Trophy is like the most prestigious trophy in college wrestling, and really almost in one sense all of wrestling, right? Because they don't really have anything like this for the international level. And so for them to dirty the award by these shenanigans, it just really it bugs me to the core.
Yeah, and so I don't think that's a reason to change things, just to have Yanni. I mean, listen, Kyle Snyder wasn't on a ballot his senior year. The guy was a 3-time champion. He was an Olympic champion and a world champion. They didn't make an exception for him because he had a loss to Adam Kuhn. I mean, I know that Yanni won 4, and that's why. But I just think it's weird, and you're putting now, and then that brings it to the fan vote where, Ben, you're going to love this.
No,
they didn't think, they literally verbatim, they don't think it's right that multiple winners, such as yourself, used to have your vote would count double what the fans would. So now they changed the fan vote from 1 vote to 5, which is around 8 to 10% of the total vote. So they said, hey, because Ben Askren should not have double the voice of the fans.
I kind of earned that.
I heard you talking smack, Ben.
What'd you say?
I said, I don't know. I kind of earned that.
Yeah, you won it twice. But they don't like that. They don't like that you would have double the vote of the fans, which
that's pretty silly.
I think the fan vote.
Well, hold on. If we go down that rabbit hole, I would say maybe there's some more chicanery, and they're starting to realize, oh my God, Penn State's got too many votes.
Yeah,
they got 2.5 for Kale. They're gonna have 2 for David. They're gonna have 2 for Zane.
2 for
1
Bo.
for Nickel.
1 for Bo.
That's a lot of votes.
1 for Bo.
Yeah,
they have a lot of votes. But hold on, that's the fan vote. Who do you think the fans are going to vote for? The fan vote's going to go to Starachi, almost definitely, right?
I mean, I was actually looking at the fan vote as there's a couple of people with two athletes on there, so that's going to maybe split that vote. Because is there any way they're going to get their entire fan base to say no, don't vote for Aaron?
Maybe. I mean,
right?
You would think
because they got veto. Also,
you would think that. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point, but I would assume they would throw their support behind Carter, just based
You're
on
assuming a lot of NCAA wrestling fans.
A lot. I'm assuming a lot. For all I know, Nino's going to win the fan vote.
Yeah. Well, so hey, Christian, I looked him up quick on WrestleStat, but the bonus percentages. So to your point, there's 4 guys who undefeated seasons, won the national title, and were relatively dominant. Both Glory and Nino had they're way down there compared to everyone else. But it's 63.6, 65.2, 66.6, and 64.3. So all of the things are actually within a 3% margin.
Yeah, that's really close.
Top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's close.
So
I don't know how the fan vote is currently trending, but I have a strong opinion about it. I don't like that the thing changes seemingly every year.
Well, the one thing Jason Bryant brought up was that in the year that they had the tie, it was not announced that the fan vote would be 5 until the fan vote was 5. They didn't say it up front.
Yeah.
And that's an issue, obviously. And then to my point about the first, second, third, fourth, I had voted for first, second, third, fourth for 15 years or whatever it was, 10 years, 12 years. And I always would write down number 1 almost every, and then every single year they'd say, no, we need you to fill out the rest of it. And I'm like, I roll. Because a lot of times the winner is kind of obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then they just go and say, oh, actually, we're not counting 2, 3, or 4. It's like, come on, you want something to happen because you've been forcing me to fill out 2, 3, and 4. And now you're saying you're not using 2, 3, and 4. It's nonsense.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like the direction it's going.
Will they release the emails this year and show us the fan vote?
I don't know. Did they not last year?
No, because it was virtually a tie.
Well, that was 2 years
Or 2 years ago. I don't think they did last year either, though.
I don't remember. Yeah, what gets released is different kind of every year as well. So,
yeah. So very disappointing.
Yeah. I feel most adamant that the fan vote should not be 5. I think that's crazy because it's a popularity contest. And like, you know, I feel like most of the voters probably actually put thought into it. Obviously there's agendas with people that win, and I understand that, but I think by and large people are doing it in an unbiased way.
Did you see this man who emailed us maybe 12 paragraphs?
I didn't see this.
I didn't see that.
Case for Andrew Lears for Hodge. Okay.
He included a link to sportsmanship. There was a lot of paragraphs about sportsmanship.
Well, I mean,
are we not including sportsmanship enough? It is a criteria.
I mean, I think it's you. I always say I kind of ignore it, but I think if someone was just a terrible sport, maybe I would consider it. Like there's maybe some athletes that if they had won NCAAs and been a Hodge candidate, I'd be like, well, this person was terrible. But that basically,
how close does it have to be?
Well, who's a bad sport, Carter? I mean, he kind of gotten a little dust up with DJ. That's about it.
That was mentioned in this in this email.
In this novella. Yeah, I mean that's
Mason Paris seems like a great sport though.
Yeah, Mason, they're all fine. I mean, you just have to. I
don't know. This man says, as for sportsmanship, Lears blows all the other candidates out of the water.
Now, come on.
He linked to an article about what sportsmanship is, the importance of what sportsmanship and what it should look like.
He linked to
from the Fort Worth Country Day.
Fort Worth Country Day told us what sportsmanship is. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Andrew Lears is a good sport. Although he did lose his team a team point with that nasty headgear spike. They got to get rid of that.
It would be so funny. I was saying, Christian, I thought this one when Lears spiked his headgear. If an NCAA final like that, if he spiked his headgear and the coach ran out and the coach just started spiking his headgear, like Kale did it like 47 times. Like, I got 50 points to lose, and just kept spiking the headgear.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, how would that work? Is it a point per spike, or is it just you get one, you get multiple spikes per match?
Good point.
They need to clarify that.
Don't coaches vote on this?
Yes.
Is that one of the rules that's up for coaches?
Oh,
it should be
Hodge.
No, spiking the headgear and then team point.
Yeah, I mean they could change that for sure. They could change all that. They could
change any rule they want.
They could get rid of the taking team points in duels and what? Who supports that? Who is possibly saying this is great? Why? Listen, I'm not saying there shouldn't be some sort of a penalty for bad behavior or whatever, but like no one can possibly support losing a team point. I've never heard a coach advocate for it.
Celebratory, having a good time, being happy.
Even control a mat. Even if you're just raging at a ref, like you shouldn't lose your 25-pounders like 1 point from his decision.
I would love them to kick the coaches out. That's what we would love.
Chuck them, just like in MLB. That would be hilarious. Can you imagine if one of these coaches got kicked out? That would be it'd be funny.
It might actually work, Christian. It might actually work. If coaches start getting kicked out after some of the wild stuff they say, I think it would be acceptable. And coaches might start acting a little more right.
This is the only thing I want to take from soccer is the card system. I think that'd be great. You see, throw a card in a coach's face. That's good drama.
Yes, good drama.
That could maybe that would help some viewership numbers because they were down, and that is
okay. So this does not include streaming on laptop, desktop, or phones. It does include streaming to a TV, I guess, is what Space said.
Yes.
I don't know. I streamed every single match on my phone or my computer, and then in the finals, I mirrored it to the TV. So I don't know. I got to assume there's a lot of people like me who would much rather use their laptops at this point than mess around with the TV or their phones. I know. Yeah.
It's still an alarming drop, and it's still alarmingly outperformed by 28% drop.
Like cable as a whole is going down. It basically mirrors the trend.
Yeah, but we're so far behind other sports and TV shows as well.
Have been.
But
TV numbers as a whole are decreasing like that. Like it's basically on par with all sports, all live sports.
I would be stunned.
Because but hold on, JD, you're not saying total viewership is going down. You're just saying broadcast numbers because there's a crap ton of people who are streaming it via a laptop.
No, I'm saying total numbers for sports are going down as well.
But that's just because they're not recording the streaming numbers. Or you're saying if you included the streaming numbers, it would also be down.
Percentage of like household wise, even if you include streaming numbers, they're going down. Like kids now are just watching TikTok and stuff because they can. 10 years ago, you didn't have a phone to go watch YouTube on, so you would turn on ESPN and watch the game. Now people can just go to their niche more. They don't have to watch the big game or the big event.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, I got you with that one. Yeah. So I don't know, Christian. I would love to see the overall number before I would say, oh my God, because I feel like, and this is just something I use to justify everything I watch, is like how many people on Twitter are talking about that thing, and it felt like there were so many people. It felt like kind of a big deal. So
it's also your Twitter.
Yeah, but that's like the most. You're just describing why Twitter is actually bad. It's like because it's just a bunch of people that sort of think like you.
No,
of course, Ben.
No, okay, I'm not saying that.
Okay, because like Barstool, never mind.
No, I'm just saying
they post the worst moments of the sport. Yeah, it maybe feels louder, but it's not.
I mean, ESPN, when they released all of last year's numbers, according to them, semifinal viewership, this was from last year, semifinal viewership was up, was the most watched since 2010. Semifinals were up, or finals were up 8%, and there was 24.9 total minutes watched, 0.9 million minutes watched on ESPN3, which is like their streaming.
Yeah, well, hopefully they come out with those numbers for this year as well. Yeah. But my estimation is like Space, where I don't think the difference in the drop is going to be made up in the streaming.
No.
That's my prediction.
Okay. That's because you had one Dan Gable-Stevenson missing.
Do we think it's that?
I think that's part of it, and I think Spencer not wrestling in the finals.
He wasn't missing also.
I think Spencer.
Like in wrestling, it's an individual sport.
The other thing, can I suggest one more thing that was probably strange this year? The UFC event, which that would be a crossover between a lot of these fans, the combat sports fans, who may be casuals, who may flip on NCAA wrestling. I think it went into like the fourth match of the NCAA finals.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. So that, I mean, that had to be huge because how many cards? They don't do a lot of London cards, so it was a major UFC event, a numbered event, and then it was going on at the exact same time as the NCAA finals. That may be drawing some fans away, and then also obviously on that Saturday, UFC and ESPN specifically, where the championship is also broadcast, is really pumping the fight because they get the pay-per-view revenue.
Yeah,
but they never pump NCAA championships.
Never.
So I don't think it was advertising that did it. Look, it's wrestling's an individual sport. It's individuals and maybe individual matchups when you get a Dake Taylor type scenario that really drive viewership. And when you didn't have that huge, megastar that pulls in numbers from outside fans that watch it every year, this is what you get when you don't have that mega matchup. A la 2013, this is what you get.
Yeah, but even still, that was, as you can see if you're watching live, that was significantly higher than others, and this is significantly lower than anything recorded.
Well, yes, because more and more people are streaming it now.
Yeah, man, it's not.
I think that's the case, but I can't prove it. So I
don't think it's that simple, guys.
Look, it might be down a look.
Well, hold on,
think
Christian.
100, so maybe like you could bring in what? You don't think a quarter of the people streamed it on their laptop or phone?
Yeah, but those people streamed it last year too.
Yeah,
definitely. What, streaming new to 2023?
Probably 3 to 5 years ago, less and less people were streaming. 100%.
Yeah, but I'm looking at 2 years ago. I'm looking at last year.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, there's variance in every
more.
year.
I would say more, but yeah, maybe not that large of a difference.
Okay.
If it dips 1 year, is that really a concern?
Yeah. Absolutely, it's a concern.
Well, it's not a trend in data if it's 1 year.
Yeah. I would agree.
You need multiple years.
Okay. If you go from, if you plummet in a year, that is significant. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it's not the
you don't have to say
thing, but it's also not the end of the world. There's a balance there.
Yeah. I think there is this weird belief about the standing of wrestling in the world and its popularity. And I think it's like the numbers are way more sobering than people want to confront.
Okay. So, like, I mean, okay, give me your hierarchy of sports, and I'll tell you where I thought we are, and then where you could tell me where you think you are.
In college sports?
Sure. Football, basketball,
college,
baseball, hockey.
Yeah, probably behind
What else?
behind all those.
Volleyball's ahead.
Volleyball's big time ahead. I don't know. Soccer, softball. I don't know that. I don't know how many sports there are.
Golf, tennis, probably behind them.
Probably.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe not for streaming.
I don't think
Probably
they
not
put
for
golf. Probably not golf. Maybe tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
Sounds
sure.
about right.
Behind rugby, behind probably pool.
No.
You don't think?
Nah.
Streaming numbers, no.
You think billiards? You think we beat billiards?
Is
Yeah,
college billiards
I
a
do.
thing?
I'm not saying college billiards. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing. I'm just saying billiards in general.
Maybe like the World Championship billiards we're behind.
No, this is our world championships for all intents and purposes.
True.
Yeah, I mean bowling for sure.
Yeah. What's weird is, what's weird is I feel like, say, 15 years ago, if I was, and I know we don't have numbers 15 years ago, but if I had went to a wrestling camp, and there was 50 guys in the room, I would say, hey, who saw this match? This is where this move happened, right? And maybe like 2 of them would raise their hands. Like there was not a lot of kids watching NCAA wrestling or even the NCAA finals. And now it's like, I just did some with the group yesterday. I said, how many people watched at least one match from the NCAA? It felt like 94% of the room.
Yeah. That's good.
I don't know. It's just my vibe is especially wrestling people are watching more for sure.
How many of them clicked on ESPN, and how many of them watched it on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok?
Oh, that's funny.
How many saw
I did not
highlights?
ask that question.
Considered that.
I said a full match, so yeah. I don't know what they were considering. I did say a full match.
I don't know if we said lacrosse, but I would say lacrosse.
Oh yeah, for sure behind lacrosse.
Gymnastics, I would think so. Yeah, a lot of sports.
Okay. So it's basically like what the normal sports fan, what do you think of, Ben, like a lacrosse or gymnastics or track? That is what wrestling is, the equivalent to everybody who doesn't pay attention to wrestling.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I don't know. Yeah, I'm not worried. Christian, I feel like our sport has more recognition than it has in a really long time, and it's kind of been like this ball of momentum. And I'm not gonna let these one numbers get it down, but yet to Jay's point, it was a multiple year trend, and I think maybe there's something that should be discussed.
Yeah, I'm not
a whole bunch of factors. Like the
I'm not
UFC
like alarmed about the sport's future as a result of ESPN streaming numbers. I mean, how could or streaming or viewership numbers? Broadcast. I mean, they don't put. I mean, ESPN puts in the minimum effort to promote the championships. They do a good job, putting it on, but there's not a lot of effort there to connect people to the storylines year round. So that's a big part of it, because you just drop in on something you don't know any of these people or any of their stories. It does make it tougher to pull people in.
Yeah.
Okay. I do look at the chat. Someone who said they aren't. Cody Pevler. You said I don't look at the chat. Look at me looking at it. NHL ratings down 22%.
Whoa.
Professional sports as a whole are all down. Streaming numbers.
But I mean, so one of the things that you said earlier, JD, that would make a whole lot of sense that it's not as centralized because people have so many options of things to watch. So naturally, you're going to see a dispersion of viewership, right? When I was a child, you could, even probably when I was in college, you couldn't watch streaming of anything anywhere, right? So it's like you're going to watch what's on TV, or that's it. Maybe go get a DVD, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to a better topic. What do you think?
Okay.
So we all picked Mason for the Hodge, correct?
Yes.
I feel like this year's Hodge Talk has more kind of people up in arms than except 2 years ago when it was Spencer versus Gable.
Rigged, sad.
But besides that, maybe I'm just misremembering. I feel like it's a hotter topic than normal.
Well, I think, like Ben said, most years it's really obvious. And this year's, this year, if you just like, until I looked at everything, it was not supremely obvious to me. Like,
right.
So, and I'd look, and
But
we
Saturday night
follow.
we were like, I think Mason, but
Exactly.
without looking at the numbers, I can't say for sure. But I think
100%.
Mason. That's my gut. But
100%. It was like probably, but let's look. And like Storace all year long has been much more dominant than people have given him credit for, including some people that I'm talking to right now.
JD?
Yeah, JD will say.
me? No, not me.
Ben.
So he's been way more.
Carter Strachey, if they're not really high level, he smashes every single time. I have said that for sure.
Okay, he just pinned in the NCAA finals. So
okay, he didn't actually do the pinning. Labriola rolled himself onto his back. And then
this is funny. Okay, so I was thinking about this the other day. So remember we had this whole debate. Like I think it was actually before you. I remember when Marinelli put Chinzo on his back in the duel at BJC. It was like, oh, did he catch him or did he put him there? And then I was thinking, like, how do you define like caught? Because it's this funny like thing. It's like this out we give people when they lose, but really did they? And like Ben's kind of giving that to Labriola right now.
I'm not giving Labriola out. I'm just not giving Carter like.
Are you just not okay?
Like,
so you're just taking the
maneuvering
credit from
him to his back.
Got it.
Well, he didn't actually put him on his back. There was not a hold. I would, if I said what hold did he put him on his back with, you would not be able to name it. It
was a reverse half Nelson. Perfectly executed.
That was what he held him on his back with.
Yeah, it was all a setup. No, so yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, it does feel like this was like you just like capitalize on a grave fatal error, and it's not. And then there's like, what Ramos did, and just like put him there and keep him there, right? Like making it happen versus like letting it and capitalize on it happening.
Something to be said for capitalizing, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And forcing Labriola in that situation. Labriola doesn't do that.
But that was the thing. He didn't really force it. The score was 2-0. I don't know what Labriola was doing.
Well, I'm saying like having beaten him in the past, being in that big environment, that situation. Obviously, Carter didn't force Labriola to dive under, but like
I'll say he did.
But
I'll let you finish.
Being the favorite and having beaten Labriola, I think he forced Labriola to think I have to do something here out of the box, which made Labriola dive under. Stuck.
That's basically what I think too. It's like he didn't. He didn't like
psychological.
He didn't lock up a cradle, but in his mind, I'm down 2-0. I'm underneath this guy that I don't know if I got away from 2 weeks ago. I got to be mixing it up. I got to be trying some stuff that normally I wouldn't. And so he rolled around. He made a mistake that he wouldn't otherwise make because of. So that's the ultimate setup. Is like you're just so. That's the greatest setup of all time.
You guys can have it.
Okay. But yeah, I'm obviously sort of doing a bit, but I'm sort of also like, no, not really. That's kind of why it happened.
I think so. I think there's something to it.
So yeah, but I will. Who won the Hodge last year?
My God, who was it?
No, not Spencer.
Spencer and Russell.
Dang, I feel so stupid.
Okay, let's see.
Whoever it was.
Not RBY, not Carter, not Aaron, not Keegan. Gable. Duh.
Oh, Gable. I knew it was obvious. Yeah, so like last year was like no conversation about it whatsoever because.
Well, even going into the finals of this year, I was like, I think RBY and David Carr have a slightly lower bonus point percentage, but they might get the edge because David wins the toughest bracket. He would have beaten Keegan 3 times that year, gone through
3-5.
Yeah.
I honestly would have considered Carr for, if he had beaten Keegan 3 times.
3 times and dominated him in the duel.
I mean, I think he was at a relatively high bonus. No, he was lower. So he was at 48.1% bonus, so it was significantly lower.
But that season, and he wrestled the entire season, went through a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He beat Hamady. He beat Monday multiple times.
Yep.
Yeah, he actually has kind of a tough schedule to get. Right from the beginning, Hamady, Kennedy, Olgian, Ramirez, Facundo. I don't know how highly you want to count him.
He's hard to beat.
Peyton Hall, Keegan, Griffith, Monday, Keegan. I mean, that's a damn tough schedule.
Yeah, that's insane. There's really no one had a comparably difficult schedule because no one was in a weight
maybe
like that.
Mason.
Right.
Maybe Mason, honestly.
Mason's was tough, but man, I don't put anyone on the level of Keegan or even I don't know if I even put Kirkfleet on like a Griffith level. Like,
no, I don't think so. And RBY, I thought was going to get consideration. I know past credentials aren't a criteria anymore, but for the fan vote, they kind of still are. Like,
yeah,
you can't.
For sure.
Fans and even voters, like real voters, aren't going to get that out of their head. And RBY had a Summer Bowl bonus rate to those top 4. Plus, he's extremely popular.
Yeah. Someone said I should consider Alirez. I considered Alirez, but after you consider and look closely, I'm just interacting with Cody Pevler this entire time.
This is what I was saying.
You know, I'll say it's a wild take for Shane, who says literally anybody at the NCAA championships can win.
Yes.
Would not even consider anybody else.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Shane yesterday said, I said I think people should consider, and I kind of mentioned the other people. He said no one should ever consider them. They should not be able to vote if they don't vote for Mason. That was a literal quote from Shane yesterday.
Wow. Yes, not my words. Take it up with
Not your
Sparknado. But yeah, it is a fun. Someone says that Mason is currently winning the fan vote, 2,000 votes, and no one else has 1,000.
Wow.
You can see it in real time.
Evidently. Let me go to Win
Where?
Magazine.
IRT.
I'm going to Win Magazine. Let's check
Does
it
it only
out.
let you vote once per time or
Per
IP?
email address. So how many emails do you have?
Oh man, I'm gonna get a bot army going.
Pot farm?
Bot
All right.
farm, hire them.
Where is it?
All right, let's.
Oh, here it is.
I'm on there. Okay,
right,
I'm
Mason
gonna vote
Paris.
for Mason. All right. I'll put my email in here.
There. I'm putting
No, I
Katie's
don't want
email.
other information at all.
Do y'all know the only time somebody has won the Hodge with a loss?
Wait,
Well,
I just
captain.
voted. I can't see the results now, JD.
yeah,
Well,
poll
results are updated daily at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay.
Where are the
Take
poll
back-
results at?
Well, it sounds like we should have a
Would there
fresh
be-
batch soon.
In this hypothetical scenario, would there be uproar if there was only one undefeated, or excuse me, yes, Nino was the only undefeated guy. He has his similar stats that he had this year. He was undefeated with, I think he had a 33% bonus, but you have Spencer loses during the regular season, but wins NCAAs.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time a pit wrestler
Hit 97, or was he 84?
He was 74.
74? A pit upperweight loses to an Iowa guy with one loss.
They did the same thing with Gavin and Metcalf.
Yes.
Gavin was the only undefeated guy.
Oh, that made me so mad.
Metcalf. But apparently, it sounded like they kind of did a similar thing there, where they kind of like played it for the.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Home team. Hey, so basically,
Who would you vote for in
if you
that
scroll
scenario?
down, there is the results tab.
I would probably vote for
You can
Spencer.
click on, and Mason is, yes, he's over 2,000. Alirez is just under 1,000, and then probably Yanni, and then probably Carter. So, hey, listen, I voted twice. I can't tell if they're counted because it doesn't show, but I put in I clicked your name, I put in my email, I clicked submit twice, and it said your vote is in more than
Okay.
once.
Sounds like it was in.
It didn't say you've already voted.
Ben, who would you vote for in this
What?
scenario? Say Spencer loses to Matt Ramos in the duel, but beats him at NCAAs, goes on, wins the final, and has his stats that he had this year. But he has one loss to Ramos. Nino is the undefeated champion of the world.
I think to me, this is easy. And that is, if you have a loss and there's someone who does not, you have disqualified yourself from competition because it is the best season. And the fact that you got beat shows that you did not have the best season.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
I
how
would
I
have
feel
had
about
a hard time with that one.
Especially in Metcalf's case, it was so funny because people were trying to justify it. Said, "Oh, he got lucky and got caught and got pinned," and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But on the other side, the one of the number one criteria for this is your ability to pin someone. So it's like you have a most dominant on one side, but then you're trying to make justification for the fact, oh, he didn't actually lose, he just got caught and pinned. But it's like, wait, that can't be your most dominant, and then also the criteria for an excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to some questions. As we have promised. Andrew, what is Vito on, and how do I get some? He's just a beast, bro. There's two Vitos, though. There's Vito, when he's locked in, he looks like that.
Vito was second team, I'll say third team Space Mountain, coming into NCAs. Normally very good, the occasional down performance.
Yeah.
He skyrocketed up to first team all Space Mountain with his performance at NCAs, and it was like, we can get this Vito too?
Yeah. I mean, he
he
took
won.
it to another level, a whole other level that.
When was the last time RBY was just dominated like that? Like
it was like
physically,
like DeSanto at Big Ten's his true freshman year was the last time I saw Roman in that kind of a position, and that was just like young Roman hadn't figured out how to wrestle DeSanto at that point, was just overwhelmed. Yeah, that's the last time we saw Roman like that. That was 2019, so a long time ago when he was a true freshman, didn't redshirt. Okay, what wrestler versus coach in a 10-minute spar takedown would you want to watch the most?
Kale versus Brooks.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kale Brooks.
Fun, I'm in for that.
Terry Spencer.
Kale versus Kirkfleet. We'll see
Terry versus Spencer. Ooh, no, I'm in on that one.
Yeah. Tom versus Spencer. Round robin.
Ooh,
Top, bottom,
all
out.
right, let's do it.
Yeah. Spencer versus Telford. You know you're in, Ben.
Those are good ones. I like it.
Who else? Who else would be some good ones?
I think those ones are so good. It's,
yeah. They're kind of like
kinda
above.
hard.
Yeah, just like a one take. I
to
feel like a full go for Terry would be a long time for a young. Although who
Really?
knows?
You think
It's
he
Ter-
can't still go 10 minutes? That's Terry Brands. He
10,
can still
yeah,
go
10 minutes.
hard.
10 minutes. He's got 10 minutes.
Not that bad.
Yeah, no problem. There's probably some other good ones. We'll come back to those.
Maybe a younger John Smith than some people. I always would have loved to see more of him. You know, like you can't really see tons of John Smith. There's not a huge amount of film available, unfortunately, because he wrestled from 1986 to 1992.
Yeah, I mean John versus even their 25 pounder. If you just put him versus Whitcraft, I'd be like, okay, I'm in for that. Just like just to watch him move, not like
what you still got, John?
It's like it's already established. Like he's like, you know, one of the greatest wrestlers to ever live. So let's just, how does he still move against a solid 125 pounder?
Yeah.
You know, they said, I can't remember if it was Tom or Terry used to beat up on Marinelli.
Oh, well, we used to say that
yeah.
because
you
we
said
saw
that,
it.
Christian, I think.
That was crazy. True freshman Marinelli, but this was during the pull the bull movement. When he was their best 165 pounder, we're like, this kid, he's ready, let him go. And then we watched, this was at Oklahoma State. I'll never forget it. Me and Bracky sat there in the practice room and watched Terry just beat him and like just held him on his back and held him there for like a long time. We're like, oh my, I mean, Terry is significantly smaller.
That's Big Brother effect.
But yeah, and just like
because how small is he still? Because he was competitively a 130.
Can't be over a $140, $145.
I bet maybe
that small.
Maybe
150.
He is lean. He is still shredded.
150 is
skinny.
not very big.
Yeah, I know. I'm like 152, and I'm a monster. So, but he's like probably 3 inches shorter than me, at least 2 or 3. I bet he's like 140 to 145 ish, maybe.
Really?
I mean, lean. For sure. And like,
so Marinelli at that point probably has got 25 or 30 on him.
Yes. And 20 years or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are, and just like when you were talking about, you're rolling around with like Parker still, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like that's kind of crazy to me. Still, how much better you can be than a guy that's in the NCAA finals.
Yeah. Yeah, something about old men, so how to wrestle a little bit.
Old men.
Learn a lot more. If you keep learning, you learn a lot more tricks as you stay in the game.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, wait, this is great. This is Cody Pevler Radio Live. He said, way too early Hodge picks 2024.
Oh, we're doing Hodge picks for next year already?
Who's it going to be? I haven't thought about it for
Keegan,
one moment.
let's go.
Yeah.
He's got to get a higher bonus, and his weight class is still the toughest, so that is beneficial.
Could be.
Spencer's out, Yanni's out.
Vito, he'll be up there.
Wyatt Hendrickson.
Man, it could be Wyatt. So someone asked.
If he can win.
You got to get out. You got to get out from the bottom.
No, you don't. Don't take bottom. Don't take bottom.
Yeah,
don't be silly.
True.
You're amazing on top. You're really good on your feet. Don't go under Daniel Gregory Kirkfleet. That's not good for your health.
He's likely to have the highest bonus, though, for sure.
He outscored champions. He outscored NCAA champions this year. He scored more team points than Nino and
Look, and if you don't vote for him for sportsmanship, you hate the troops.
Yes, outed. Tried for treason.
You're a commie and you can get out.
Yeah, he's the only one where the sportsmanship award actually helps. This guy's actually putting on for this country.
Okay, guys. So, and he's went from 52% bonus to 75% bonus to 82% bonus. So he cranks that up a few more notches next year and wins it. It's probably going to be him.
I'm sorry. There's so many questions in here. I'm just going to have to paraphrase and not give credit to who actually asked it. But they were like, could Wyatt have won the Hodge this year, or would his schedule have hurt him? He 100% would have won the Hodge this year if he had won NCAAs.
If he
with his
he would have beaten the guy who won.
Yeah.
He also lost to Gable at
oh,
CPLB.
yeah. So, okay, if he had gone undefeated, if he had won Vegas and then won this tournament, 100% he would have won the Hodge. So it wasn't his schedule. I mean, he went to Vegas. You go to Vegas, do your schedule, win NCAAs, and you have that kind of a bonus rate. You're
Big
probably
12, Big 12. That's a tough conference.
Yeah, for sure. So I think he definitely would have won. But the hardest part about it is winning all your matches, and that's what he didn't do.
It'd be difficult.
Okay, I love the hypotheticals. This is from Austin Silvas. If Keegan wins out and gets 2 more titles, where does he stack up in the GOAT convo? Considering he had to take out 2 national champs for his first 2 titles.
Also, Wyatt Hendrickson ended the season with the most falls out of anybody with 17.
Good gracious.
Nice.
What a
Get the
savage.
Shells Award.
I mean, Keegan, listen, no one is in the GOAT convo with Kale.
No, that's
period.
fair.
But, he
would end up with less losses than a Dake or a Stieber or a Pat Smith for sure. If you count the one from his first year, then he's at 3. If you don't count that, he's at 2 losses in 2 years.
Yeah. That will be the tricky argument for Keegan is, how we factor in the 3rd place finish as a true freshman when he definitely wouldn't have wrestled otherwise.
Yeah.
And was a 57-pounder.
Because he definitely would have been redshirting that year had it not been that free Corona year thing.
Yeah. Will Teskey be Iowa's 33 next year, or do they try to pull from the portal?
But Teskey still's got eligibility?
Yeah.
He's got 1 year if he chooses to
What?
use it.
I think they roll with Brody this next year. I mean, if there was some standout option at the weight or at any weight, I think Iowa would look into it. But who would they get? Who's there? I don't see.
Teskey's almost gotten worse. He was rounded 12 in 2021 at NCAA. He's rounded 16 in 2022, and then this year I think he won 1 match in round of 24. He got 1 round worse every year.
I feel like he's about the same. While the results of NCAAs I feel like he's about the same guy.
Let's see who he beat in 2021. He made the quarters by beating Kaler and D'Agostino before losing to Hildebrandt in overtime in the quarters, and then got beat by McKee in the wrestlebacks. He did, however, win the Big 12 championship by beating Danny Vega and Taylor Lamont.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, solid.
Next question, and you guys feel free to get in there and shout them out too, so it's not just me. Who are names to keep an eye on for Olympic red shirts? I kind of feel like it's going to be less this year, at least for the big dogs. Like, I don't see the Penn State guys taking them. I don't think Keegan's planning on it. I don't know.
He's not planning on it.
I don't think Carr. I don't know about Carr. Carr's one I haven't heard.
What about Vito Arujau?
him.
Would he be someone that plans on it? Because obviously he's someone who could actually compete at that level, we would think. And he took
He would have to go 57.
He would be the first person ever to take 3 Olympic red shirts.
Mm-hmm.
What a beast.
What a beast. I
Van
think
Wilder style.
I think he could do it. I don't think he will. I think he'll be back. I think Alira is the biggest dog that's going to be taking the Olympic shirt. He basically
he is for sure.
He told me he was in the interview.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I mean, that will make sense because he's probably good size for 65 and obviously competitive. Yeah.
When I asked him if he was planning on competing at the Open, he said he still wasn't sure yet this year.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll probably be there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. What about anyone at 25 or no? Probably not. None of them probably even qualify.
No, I don't think so.
Colton Schultz?
He's an interesting one. I don't know. When we were talking about it, I guess we were talking about this at the office, not on the show, but does he really need to? It seems like he's kind of a runaway to make the team. So,
yeah.
Really,
I can't remember criteria. Is past H-level world medalist of any year get you Olympic red shirt? Because Matt Ramos was a cadet world champion.
No. Didn't we say yesterday not cadets but juniors?
No, I'm pretty sure it was cadets. Because I remember like Kurt McHenry, like maybe was like could get some.
I'm gonna have to go find it.
Some Olympic
track down the
red shirt
qualifications.
stuff. So, who else? I think that's kind of it. O'Connor's done. Yeah, I don't see a lot of these other guys taking it. We'll see. Maybe you get some fringe guys that are like not really Olympic contenders that take them, but just want a year of eligibility just to train. So that could be. All right, next up. You guys got any? Is it just me? Because there's
Just
so
you.
many in here.
You're the big boss, man.
Awesome. I don't want to be that.
Why didn't Max Murin get back points? I would say Yanni was too high for part of it, and he was on top of the body for part of it. You cannot get back points through your body, and he was too high for the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Max is darn near close to defensive fall.
That's true also.
Mm. They're not going to call it. He was so actively looking for the turn. I don't think he was in.
Yeah, but Christian,
he was in a little bit of danger.
Shoulders flat.
You are such a hater. Oh my gosh.
He was almost flat on his back.
I just said you can't.
Yes, he was.
It doesn't matter if you're trying things. If your shoulders are flat, your shoulders are flat.
No.
It would have been a big cojones call. I don't think it would have taken a while to call, but he was in danger. Look at the thumbnail.
That's what every tilt that's ever been hit looks like. The exact criteria. That's
Yanni is on top of him. A tilt, every tilt ever, but you're off to a 90-degree angle. In this one, Yanni is parallel right on top of him.
No.
Yes.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't believe how close he gets to this.
He was very close right there.
But that's definitely not. But then he pulls him back. Oh my gosh.
Look, he's close
he's
right
off
here.
to the side. He's not close.
No, he is not. He is close. Look.
There he's close.
He's very close. His shoulders, you can pause it, you can screenshot it, and his shoulders are flat.
He rolls through.
Yanni.
You roll through on a tilt similarly.
I know, but he was on his back for a second. To say it's not close is absurd.
It's close by nature of every single turn that's ever hit like this is close. Yes, you're close to being on your back in any sort of tilt.
No, Christian, you're being stubborn right now.
You're being stubborn. You guys have the agenda.
Stubborn.
Oh, yeah. I'm
saying he wasn't pinned, but not acknowledge that there was a little pressure being applied to both shoulder blades.
I'm saying it was close to a turn for Max Murin, and then it was close to a defensive fall for Max Murin.
Yeah, I just disagree. It would have been, if they had slapped him out there, it would have been the worst call of the entire NCAA tournament.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it was a defensive fall. I'm saying it was close to. He was in a small amount of danger for a second or two.
What does the future hold for the two Oklahoma programs? OSU, worst finish ever. OU finished with just 6 points a year before they moved to the SEC. what did the future hold for those schools?
Man, I mean, I'm kind of an optimist by nature, but what trends do you see that make you excited? Oklahoma State does have good recruits, but they always have good recruits. That's not new. Oklahoma, they've got guys. They have named guys. I mean, they're going to have Buchanan next year. That's going to help. They sent a lot of guys to the tournament. That's good, but I think
just looked because someone told me about this, and they did not have one guy make the round of 12. Everyone lost round of 16 or earlier.
Yeah, it was not a good showing for Oklahoma. Not that apart from Moshe, I don't think there was a lot of high expectations for their guys coming into the tournament. So I pretend it's some colossal, catastrophe. But yeah, it's hard to think, hey man, these are programs that are on the cusp of being top 10 perennially for Oklahoma and pushing for trophies in the near future with Oklahoma State. I don't know when that's going to happen again. I mean, where are the big and it hurts. Losing Ferrari is gutting. You lose 20 points for 3 years, that hurts a lot. And you don't just quickly replace that. And that can't be forgotten. But you can't also disregard the fact that there's a lot of really good recruits that are getting insignificant production.
Much better.
And just not production. I mean, it's like better or worse, whatever. I mean,
but if you get those high-level recruits and you get them better, they're going to score you points, right? So then, to me, they're clearly not getting much better, right? There's a lack of development.
Yeah.
Okay.
One hypothetical for you. AJ Ferrari comes back next year.
Mm-hmm.
Runs the table, goes undefeated.
Oh, my gosh.
Only undefeated, but
Hodge?
somebody very dominant with one loss.
He doesn't have a ton of bonus percentage.
Yeah, he's a takedown guy.
I know.
Yeah.
They ding him for the sportsmanship award.
Which brings me to my next question. Brooks versus AJ. I think that's Brooks.
I also think that's Brooks.
I'm excited to see it, but I think that's Brooks. So
I'm not sold.
You're not sold?
You sound extremely confident.
I am.
As somebody who lost to Miles Amin and then AJ beat Miles Amin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care at all. I think those styles are completely different. I think AJ's very defensive and re-attack focused. I think Miles is more offensive than AJ. I think they're just two really different wrestlers. And also, Brooks beat him 2 out of 3 and beat him soundly at NCAAs.
I think it's a match.
It's a match,
assuming we have the same version of AJ that won NCAAs.
Yeah, we'll see. We haven't watched this guy wrestle in a really long time.
Long time.
What was it, Olympic trials the last time we saw him? No, I guess we saw him that year after that. Before he got in his accident. So, yeah. I don't know.
Also never seen Brooks
a bunch of people in the questions are saying Griffith to Penn State. Wishful thinking? What are they saying? Why are they saying this?
I mean, I think it's realistic that, if Griffith was non-committal about wanting to wrestle next year, and then he was non-committal about wanting to wrestle at Stanford next year because he's sort of exhausted his academic whatever there. And so, yeah, I mean, there's an obvious that the big players would be in contention for him. I'm sure Michigan would try. I'm sure Penn State would try to get him if they could. I have to imagine they're after Mitchell as well. So if they're after Mitchell, it would stand to reason they'd be potentially after Shane. Although with Mitchell, you get you have a full career versus Shane is kind of a 1-year stopgap, which I don't know which works better for them. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense for them to pursue Shane, and it would make sense for Shane to consider Penn State, in my opinion, along with the other programs. So
Shane's then redshirt or stick it out at 57 for another year.
And I don't see any scenario Levi goes 57 again, just based on what I'm hearing, just too big.
Yeah, I've heard that also.
I think with if Levi is a long-term 65. Then Shane actually makes more sense than Mitchell because you get 1 year, you let Levi redshirt, he goes in, finishes his career, and then Levi slots in. So it makes sense for a lot of reasons for Penn State. Now, if the guy's not even interested in wrestling anymore, and wants to do private equity and be a Stanford alum,
a whole bunch of money,
making them dollar bills, he's certainly done his part for the sport, and he reached the highest heights when it mattered most. So would not be surprised. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think so.
I made it to the bottom of the question sheet.
Chances South Dakota State finishes in the top 10 next year. They return 7 of 8 qualifiers. So I think it's actually going to be tougher because I think Sloan's going to have a harder time making the finals if AJ and Brooks are back.
Who's the one that doesn't return? Carlson?
Carlson's back.
Well, he has a year.
He has a year.
I don't know how. Okay, but all right, sure. So who's not back?
I don't know.
Tanner Cook? Tanner Cook might be more healthy.
Tanner Cook's back.
DeVos. Maybe DeVos is out.
I think is back.
He's probably AJ Neville's?
Oh, yeah, it's AJ. For sure, AJ's done.
Okay.
Did we talk about Seth in the portal?
No,
Seth's in the portal.
That just happened yesterday.
Seth Neville's in the portal.
Yeah.
It has
How
been
good
said.
is he?
I think he's a qualifier. I think he's a guy who win matches at NCAAs.
Does he go to South Dakota State then?
Well, that's a sort of an obvious thought that would make sense, right?
In the last 3 seasons, Seth Neville's has only wrestled 10 matches in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
SDSU, in terms of returning team points available, currently rank 8th.
That's a lot.
They get who's the Minnesota guy that's really tough? That was junior medalist.
Ergie?
Yeah, they put him in the lineup next year.
He'll be inserted, I guess, at 84. So yeah, they're going to be good, but it's.
Ergie did lose a couple in his redshirt year that made me scratch my head, I think.
Yeah.
Went 11-5.
Who do you predict will have a better wrestling career, Casey Swiderski or Pinheiro Johnson?
Great question. I would go Pinheiro, but I could be convinced of the other way.
Yeah, I don't know. They both kind of had weird endings to their seasons. Casey seemed like he was starting to figure things out towards the end. Pinheiro
won Big 12s.
Well, we were talking about Pinheiro challenging Yanni.
He did. And at duels.
He did, yeah. We were talking about the NCAAs, and it never happened, but yeah, he's good. He's really good.
I think ultimately probably Pinheiro. I feel like he has fewer things to solve to get to be for sure high level, to be for sure
That's
a
true.
top 3 or 4 guy. Whereas Casey, I feel like there's a lot more things, and even if those things get figured out, is he going to be a title contender? Is he going to be able to wrestle with the Alirez's and the Woodses, and and I know those guys aren't going to be around his whole career, but there's going to be a next generation of those types. And I don't know.
I like the way you put that. Pinheiro has less to figure out to compete with those top guys as compared to Swiderski.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Keith Gothard, can we have a live in-studio audience for Show 1000, open to all the chat fans?
I think we should do that.
With free tacos. Yeah, maybe.
Free tacos?
Man, that's a lot of tacos. Keith, how many people are you bringing? These tacos aren't cheap.
It's bringing all of them on.
Actually, go to One Taco. It's a great deal.
That was JD got me one taco the one time I was in there.
What are you in?
I wouldn't say it's a great deal.
Yeah, it's not a great deal.
It's pretty standard.
It's standard. It's the core. I'm correlating the amount you pay for what you get and how good it tastes. I think it's a great deal.
It is pretty good.
You probably pay as much at Taco Deli, and those are inferior tacos. Okay, let's find some more. It's only 9:14.
Yeah, there's actually I think we scrolled through most of the good ones. There's a handful of the Griffith one that I brought up already.
What are they saying in the chat?
Mason Paris, is he gonna wrestle freestyle? I feel like he's going to the WWE. I feel he didn't already sign the
No, he is.
They call it the next in line or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but Coach Bormet's like said it's top priority to get him to stay at Cliff Keen and help him pursue his freestyle goals. I feel pretty certain that that's what he's going to be doing.
Okay, so no WWE.
Yeah. Do we feel like Mason is the favorite to make the team this year?
He's never figured out how to beat Gwiazdowski yet. He's got to figure that one out. He definitely could do it. I mean, this is his best year collegially.
He has done it. He has to do it to make the team.
Don't forget Zilmer, the guy that beat Gwiz.
Mm-hmm. He beat him at RTC Cup.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it.
But then Gwiz really kind of handled him in the 2021 trials.
Yes.
So, yeah, Gwiz that's the big test. I feel like, Hayden Zilmer, let this just be the bulletin board material. But I feel like Mason matches up better with Hayden than Gwiz. Just because the size, I know Zilmer's obviously a freak, very strong but I feel like I don't think Mason's going to get tired or fatigued the way Gwiz did.
Yes,
but
that's fair.
There's no way to know.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see, from CP Talk, Fix go down his final year to be closer to 57?
That's going to be so interesting to see who all goes to 57 kilograms in 2024.
I don't think we see that with him, because if we were to see that, then
why wouldn't he have done it?
Why wouldn't he have done it in 2021 with the Olympics so close, with the trials so close? So I don't think he would. It's something that is rumored literally every year, including this year, and it never happens. And I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think Dayton thinks this way, but I would say 125 is clear now. Vito's at 133.
Yeah. Well, like we said,
true.
This year, I think Ben is the first one to bring it up. Like, Dayton go 141 and win. And now, after watching Alira's and Woods, like, okay, those guys had not cemented themselves the way they had.
No, they had not.
Coming into this year, with Real becoming, the best top wrestler at that weight in the country, bar none. Like, in the span of 1 year, like, he got so much better when he got to Iowa. It was insane. And then Alira is probably the most improved wrestler in the country, I would say. That said, we were kind of talking about that last year. Like, go up to 141, you would be the favorite, and he would have been the favorite, Ben, just like you said. Now, going down to 120,
finished on top. I don't know.
Going down to 125. Yeah, if you told me Dayton's going 125, I would say, yeah, probably the favorite to win.
Gotta be the favorite.
You're sort of assuming that the weight is not a factor, but is Matt Ramos beating Dayton Fix? Like, man, I have a hard time envisioning that. But of course, I had a very hard time envisioning what happened, Friday night last week as well. But the challenge of beating Vito versus the challenge of beating Matt is, one seems a little more surmountable, and
yeah.
And Vito, there is something to be said. I wrote off Vito's 57 kilogram win over Dayton as just kind of like the cut and this and that. And man, it's just the bottom line is, Vito is a great matchup against Dayton. There's no two ways about it.
Agreed. But yeah, hey, who's going to go 57 and whether it's this year or next year? It's fascinating with RBY and Seth Gross and Vito. Is he going this year? Is he going next year? Dayton, is he going this year? Is he going next year? Like, a lot of these guys we don't really know.
I was told Roman can't do it, but I don't know.
Like, he can't make it or what?
Yeah, it sounds like they just don't think he can do it. Make the weight.
With all those guys, it's such a tough pull. I would be surprised if they did it this year. I know, obviously, that sets you up. It's a different story if there's not a guy on the level of Thomas Gilman waiting for you at 57. If it's more up for grabs, then maybe you see guys try and do it this year and secure the spot.
Yeah.
Maybe go win a medal and set yourself up where you only have to make it the weight at Final X next year.
That's huge.
But to make the pull down to 57, to have a huge test like that, and there still be a probability, I won't even say chance, a probability that you don't make the team.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's almost like you have a better shot at 61. You're going to wrestle better at 61, feel better at 61. go 61, make the team, maybe bring home a medal. I mean, Seth Gross was in a medal match this year. And then set yourself up to where you only have to make the semis and then finals.
Oh, okay, so I didn't even realize you meant like this year, Ben. There's no scenario Roman goes 57 this year. None whatsoever.
Okay. You're saying he can never make it?
Yeah, I kind of heard like, man, it's like probably not realistic he ever goes 57 kilograms, but who knows?
Big tweener because he's not big enough.
He cannot go 65. I mean, he can enter and maybe win some matches, but like too small.
So why doesn't he just go fight people then?
I don't know. Pursuing a dream. Trying to make a team. I mean, maybe he will go down. I don't know, but I just was told like, man, he's big, and don't know if he could ever do it.
Dang.
And like, you look, if I don't know what Roman walks around at, but it's like, where does the weight come from? He's lank, he's long, he's spindly as is. It's like, where does the weight come from? Like with Dayton, you see he's thick and strong and like big legs and big shoulders. You're like, okay, I can see how he gets down. But like with Roman, that's a big challenge.
This one's fun. Sounds crazy at first, but you can make an argument from Sholi Van Dyne. With all said and done, who had a better NCAA career, Spencer Lee or Alex Steringer?
I mean, you feel like Spencer, but I feel like Alex only lost a few times. Like
4.
Maybe 4?
I think Spencer had 6 losses. And 2 undefeated seasons.
So I would say, well, Spencer sort of had 2 undefeated seasons, but they were weird because one didn't have NCAAs and the other one didn't have like a season.
Alex still had more matches.
Yeah.
Alex was, I think, 133-4. Spencer ended at 98-6.
I think the program impact tips it for me for Spencer. The fact that he brought Iowa back and to be a championship team.
Is that really fair to put in this consideration?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's part of it. I think dominance.
Dominance should be, yes.
Dominance is factored in. Now, what was Ringer's marquee win?
That was the thing, is he didn't really have those
St.
like
John?
super great opponents.
He didn't beat St. John.
He never beat St. John?
Mm-mm.
I remember he lost to him.
I think he was 0-2.
Oof.
Yeah.
He won a weight with St. John in it,
yeah,
but he didn't beat him. I mean, his
like
best
Isaac
one was like
Jordan. He beat a bunch, and maybe Bo Jordan, and
I think he had Chad Walsh one year in the finals. Is that right?
Yeah, Walsh. Yeah. So I mean, that hurts Derringer for sure.
And you think about Spencer's freshman year, he wins a weight with national champion Nathan Tomasello, Darian Cruz, national champion, Nick Suriano, soon an eventual 2-time national champion. He wins that weight. That's kind of like that's a big dynamic as well.
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
It is interesting that you can even potentially make the argument for Ringer, though.
Yeah.
Not something we maybe would have thought about.
Yeah, agreed.
Ringer kind of gets forgot about as kind of an NCAA legend.
Yeah, for sure. He's fantastic. Okay. Let me see. Okay, the Wizard. He can suffer 2 losses to Carr. You always hear jumps are made in the offseason. How did he change so much in 2 weeks?
Strategy.
So I have
here's the great thing
Ben.
about Keegan, and the easy thing about helping him is that he already has a ton of tools. So it's just like, okay, what tools are you going to use for this one? And then when it didn't work, it was like, okay, what tools do you have that you weren't able to utilize and get to? And then how do we utilize and get to those things?
Yeah, the O'Toole chest, as it were. The O'Toole box. So I have a take.
Go for your take.
All right, so after watching all 3 matches again, I have come to the conclusion that all 3 matches were actually really, really close, and that none were dominated by anyone, including the NCAA finals match that Keegan won. I look at it like now a little differently, that they're just a bunch of exchanges that really could have gone that are just on a razor's edge that had conclusions that on this occasion, on last night or a couple nights ago, Keegan won them. And then the previous one, David Carr had won them. But I view all their matches as just like, yeah, numerically, there's some big differences in the first and the third, but actually they were all really, really close, extremely competitive matches. Would you agree with that, Ben? Would you say Keegan dominated?
So yes and no. I mean, dominate is maybe too extreme for either performance, but David obviously controlled the first meeting, and one of the big things was he was able to ride. If you look at the takedown battle, it was like, okay, David got the first one, Keegan got the second one, and then because David had ridden out the first period, Keegan knew he needed that next takedown, and he kind of rushed it, right? And then because he rushed it, David was able to score the takedown. So the takedown battle was close, but then the fact that he got ridden out. Now, I knew Keegan had the ability to get out there. But if you were a person who didn't, maybe you'd say, wow, that was kind of controlling because he kept him down the third period, and that made the score not really all that close. Second one, I think you have a hard time arguing that it was not close because it went to overtime, and there was two questionable takedown calls, both of which went David Carr's way. So I think that one's easy to argue. And then the finals, I think, there is the one sequence where you could have argued David had that takedown at the end of the second, which I don't think he did. And I think, honestly, if that sequence keeps going, I think Keegan actually ends up with that takedown. But Keegan also got it in an early shot and takedown, which David was able to counter after Keegan got close a couple times. And then I guess you could say David was close on the third period takedown, but I don't think he actually got all that close ever. Keegan was kind of always in a, I'm not going to say great defensive position, but average defensive position. There was never a point where I was like, oh my God, he's about to get taken down.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay.
All right, here's a question. Where do you project the NC State Wolfpack to place next year? So I think they're going to be pretty good. I don't think they lose much. Camacho's back from injury. Orini is back. Ryan Jack, who, he had a very poor performance relative to his seed at NCAAs, is back.
Everybody's back. I don't think they had one guy out of eligibility.
Yeah.
They're starting lineup.
Arrington, Scott.
Plus Singleton gets that true freshman year, out of the way. He'll come back better.
Yep. Singleton is back. Trent, I didn't realize. I think I realized yesterday on the show that he was back. Trumbull's back. And then they're going to have a battle. They have three really good heavyweights.
Yeah.
Owen Treffin, Tyree Houghton, and Chase Horn. I think Tyree Houghton's gone. But Treffin's tough. Chase Horn's tough. So, man, I think, I'm sure Coach Papalizio is not, thrilled with how NCAA's played out for his team across the board, and definitely know they left some points out there. But for me,
in 10th.
Yeah, for me with NC State, it's not like...
Ooh, 1 point behind Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it was literally the Romero.
That's right.
It was the Romero over Hidley that sealed it. I mean, there's a lot of things that sealed it, but that was the last thing that happened. I think that was the last match that those two teams had. But for Coach Papalizio, I think you have all those guys are on the caliber to place, and so you'll run them back next year, and they're going to be in position to place high, in my opinion. Can they win? No, I don't think so. But certainly they can outperform their 10th place finish. I think they can be in contention.
What is the best Papalizio team's done?
They've got a trophy in 2007 or 18.
Okay, I think they could challenge for a trophy.
I do too. You had some really high seeds with Trumbull and Jack not even make the round of 12. So you can safely assume that's not likely to repeat itself. I mean, I just think it's a great staff. They do such a good job of development. I think they're, I think solving that, because they wrestled so well at ACCs the last 2 years as well, right? They won. There were so many back and forth. There were so many Tech NC State matches at ACCs, and it seemed like every every matchup was going NC State's way, and then it sort of flipped at NCAAs where Tech made it happen a little bit more. So, yeah, I think you should be really excited. They're going to have an awesome dual team for sure. So a lot of reasons to check them out in Raleigh next year.
Agreed.
Awesome program. Okay. That was a good one. I didn't even see it. Someone said Griffith to Iowa. Hex speed runs. That would surprise me with Kennedy. But if you could get Shane Griffith, I think you'd take it. But I don't think there's any smoke there.
Yeah,
is Penn State okay? Here's a good question: is Penn State's dominance good for the sport? How soon until they replace Iowa as the most hated program? I have an opinion here. I want Ben's first.
I mean, I think people don't like it when the same person wins over and over and over. So there is that. And then at the same time, they're just not as unlikable. Although I think maybe with the post-match speeches, Carter and Aaron are maybe pushing them in that direction a little bit. But other than that, it's like hard to not like them because they're just very lovable.
They did. I mean, I think people do hate them too. I mean,
yeah,
when they reversed the near
Yeah,
fall.
they're called Iowa fans.
when they reversed, and there's a lot of Iowa fans.
Yeah.
When they reversed the near fall on Haynes, boos rang down. That's for a reason, because that call went in Penn State's favor.
Yeah, that's for sure. That moment did stick out. I was like, oh, I did not expect that. But there was not a large Penn State contingent at NCAAs this year. It was way smaller than I would have expected. I thought.
Wow.
I mean, it's not easy to get to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I understand that dynamic, but still, it was not as big. But
it's not that hard. It's got an airport.
So, what's your take, Christian?
My take
should we call you Penn State Pyles?
My take is dynasties are great for sports. They have been traditionally great for sports.
Okay.
It's a very it galvanizes people in a camp, and
it's a built-in villain or a built-in lot of fans.
And I remember, so I was listening to a broadcast. Colin Cowherd, probably to me, he's like the greatest sports broadcaster I've ever heard.
Cowherd.
He is the best by far, and he was always like yelling at college basketball fans because everyone always pretends they care the most about, oh, they want to see the underdogs win and underdogs, but it's like, it's just not true. People are way more excited to root for the Dukes and the UNCs and the Kansases than the, George Masons when they go on a run, et cetera. And people love to hate the dynasties. They love to root against Duke in college basketball.
That's true.
And it's the same. It's no different in college wrestling. A dynasty like this is unquestionably good for wrestling, as I think it was when Iowa had their run. Oklahoma State had a little mini dynasty of their own. I think it is definitely a good thing for the sport to have that. And and the one thing about it that's interesting is like anytime you're in a dynasty, it feels like there's no end in sight. Right, there's no end in sight for Penn State in my mind, but then there's an end to everything too, and I don't know when or how or why it would happen, but all these things come to an end, and it may be 15, 20 years, but the second Roll Tide. How soon until they replace? But how much more dominant? You say Roll Tide. How much more dominant Penn State is than Alabama is insane.
It's because of the way football is played, though, and how wrestling is scored, and the dynamics of the sport. That it's an individual sport. Team sports are always going to have more variance in outcome of national champion. Look at basketball.
Yeah.
There's a reason we see massive upsets every year at the NCAA tournament that would never happen. We would never see think about a lower level wrestling program knock off Penn State.
That's because the NCAA tournament is the most pure championship that we have.
No, disagree.
Listen, we're not going to do it.
We're talking about the scoring system? Listen, I'll do this anytime you want to do this. I disagree strongly. And I've made that the case.
Undeniable that a part of the reason people love March Madness and basketball so much is that that team
Variability.
can knock off a Duke. There is no chance.
And you can bet money on it. That's why people like it.
Well,
The gambling
that
component
helps.
is
You could
is
gamble on
insane.
No, but I
NCAAs
mean,
this year,
to the
NCAA
point
wrestling
that
this year.
JD
How?
is making,
I could have made
no,
so
to the
much
point
money.
JD's
Bet for
making,
Iowa.
anytime you know the result, you're less likely to want to watch.
Yes. Anytime there's a actual, even if it is a small chance that, I don't want to dog on any smaller programs here, but insert smaller program can win against that giant, people are going to be into that. When you go into the NCAA tournament knowing there is no way.
What small dog program has a prayer against Penn State?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what he's saying.
But in a duel, in a different format.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. You're all right. I thought you guys were advocating for like a duel thing suddenly.
No, I'm
we're
saying
talking
it
about
is
dual
more
championship.
likely
We're just talking
that it happens in a duel.
There's more chance. There's more variability.
Not of a
a dual team title and see if Kale wins however many he's won this year. Because Iowa could have snagged a couple in there.
Yeah.
When it's
And I
close
think,
and
Penn
one
State
match goes
lost
another way,
once or
that's a
twice,
big difference than needing insert X matches, 15 matches, not to go Penn State's way.
Yeah,
in the current format.
exactly. That's why duels. Yeah, that's my whole point. It doesn't reward the best team. We won't
No,
get
but
into it.
you're okay. If you want to do this again, we can do this again. We only got 9 minutes left.
I'm not saying. Listen, I wish there were a dual championship. I think that'd be awesome. For all the reasons you guys think it would be awesome.
Christian notoriously hates fun.
I love fun.
No,
Notoriously.
this year we're doing a fantasy NCAAs thing. I wanted to have second place, had to pay double, and Christian wouldn't allow it.
Listen, that's one. It's easy for you to say you're never close to second place. So
Christian was scared of getting second and having to pay double instead of getting paid.
2, I'm always towards the top, and I won the last 2 years. So, yeah, I don't want to have to pay double for my excellence.
I might have won if I got to sell my pick, too.
Probably not.
Oh, you guys are funny.
I love fun. I've been to a Chuck E. Cheese many times. All right. That was a good question. Oh, how soon until they replace Iowa as the most hated program? So I don't know.
Never. I don't think
I
ever.
think Iowa is just. I think because Iowa cherishes so much of that.
Cherish it.
To the brands
that
leave?
aspect, the us versus them dynamic that I don't feel like Penn State has that dynamic of like, we love being hated. Like Iowa, it's a badge of honor.
Them.
It's a badge
Iowa
of honor
versus the world.
And then I'm not saying just for the wrestlers, the coach. I mean, like the fans love that aspect of it too.
100%.
Look, and they are the most hated program, and they are the most loved program. Nobody gets more cheers at NCAAs than Iowa.
By far.
Nobody gets more boos than Iowa. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that aspect is good for the sport. It's why when Iowa is great, it's good for the sport. Penn State being great is good for the sport.
Yeah. So define good for the sport. Like,
define.
Fun.
I think
like, good for the sport. Is that bringing in more participants? No. Is that bringing in more viewership? Maybe a little, but like,
maybe, yeah.
What is good for the quote? Good for the sport, unquote.
I think I believe what Dean was asking is more just related to like viewership and overall fan interest. I think that's what he's talking about.
That's
and I think it is good for that. And I think they have a good message for wrestlers. You know, I mean, you don't hear it very much, but you know, gratitude, hard work, have fun. Like, I think it is a good message. Mm-hmm. All right. Ramos versus Lee. What were your thoughts with 10 seconds left in the third? What about 10 seconds after the pin? I was just like,
that was crazy. I don't know.
My thoughts immediately went to Spencer. Honestly, when it happened, like, oh my gosh, this is like, I just thought about him and like, you know, how devastated that must be for like Iowa and Spencer. That's what I thought about. More so than, oh my gosh, Matt Ramos just did that. Like, fair or not, that was just like my gut reaction was like, oh my, that just happened to Spencer Lee.
Shock. No other word.
Shock.
Really?
Shock's a good word.
Shane Sparks wasn't shocked. he was just in there on the Matcast saying, "Told you guys, knew it."
Shut up.
That vindicated Shane for every time he's ever said that.
But no, it doesn't though, because he was shocked. Because the whole reason that's a big deal is that we are surprised that it happens. That's it.
I know, I agree, but it will only continue to fuel him to saying that anybody can win.
Shane still thinks Anthony Robles should have chose top in 2011, despite Anthony Robles telling him that was not the case.
How about he opens the show with Patrick Glory? I said Patrick Glory could beat Nick Soriano as some dunk. That's not a dunk, Shane. He lost. It's like, what? What? I was like, that's your opening, like, gotcha, boys? Come on, Shane.
Shane, come on.
He could have done a better one. That's how he got it.
Love you, Shane.
Oh, my God.
Love. All love. What would we do without you, Shane?
Wow.
Hold on.
How about this one from Dominic Montano? What wrestlers are you excited to see compete again after missing last season?
Well, I'm excited for Ayala and Figueroa to drop into 125.
Okay.
Were there?
I wish I had a list right now.
Look, there is one villain. We're talking about villain people love to hate or love to love.
Ferrari?
That
Albert?
polarizes everybody.
Albert.
Yes, who could be back next year.
Albert Ferrari back in the
What about
mix.
his grades, though, guys? Because he's got to be in what is third or fourth year of eligibility. He would have to have a certain amount of schooling done. So has he actually been going to college?
I'm not going to pretend to know, and I'm not going to pretend to know or care. And I'm not going to, if he's been enrolled in class, I'm not going to pretend to know. I know the exact rules of.
It's what, 20, 40, 60, 80%? Like, you have to have a certain percentage done towards your degree in order to be eligible to compete.
JD has no time for pretending, Ben. I don't know. I don't know.
All I know is that any program that wants him can figure it out.
They'll figure it out. Eligibility.
Listen, if we're talking about Iowa, that would bring an extra amount of hate to Iowa.
Okay, here's a question from it's like it's perfect.
Going from Oklahoma State to Iowa.
Yep, the reverse Mako they're calling it. I don't know this question, but maybe you guys get. Do the close top seeds matches lead to more teams returning to big opens? Does anyone know?
Wait, I'm sorry. What does that say?
Again?
Read it one more time.
I thought maybe I'm just not getting it. All right, this is from Mr. R, the Grim Wrecker. Do the close top seeds matches lead to more teams returning to big opens? Does anyone know what that means?
I don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, crap. I was hoping sometimes I can read something and you guys can do translating.
I'm trying to find it and translate it.
Okay, I don't understand his second question either. Does the PSU team with Haynes, Van Ness, Kirk, etc. show they are not gonna gap? I think he's
not
just
gonna have it.
Gap?
He might have been drinking.
Okay, not gonna gap. I think I can translate.
That means like take a big gap in performance once the other ones leave.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it means, Mr. R. That he is not. Them having that base, and how Van Ness did it. The guys he beat to get third.
Dude, they're close.
It's really impressive, and it's like, man, Shane's a title contender next year, right?
That was truly like an unlocking performance. Who did he beat round 2?
Pinheiro.
Ethan Miller. No, not Ethan. Oh, Pinheiro. Yeah,
Ethan Miller was round 1, and it was like, but can he do that again? And then
he beat Rooks.
Yep, and it was like unlocked.
Yeah.
Like that was a Van Ness we had not seen.
I feel like
he had to beat Rooks and Miller. That's it.
I feel like his attack rate went up. I feel like his pace became a huge factor. I don't know. And 3, what should replay time limit? I think, and I'm being generous here. I think 2 minutes.
Yes.
Once you got the video up, you got 2 minutes to figure it out.
2 minutes. That's it.
And that's it. 8 minutes on that Alira's Woods replay. 8 minutes. That is ludicrous. That's longer than the match. Ludicrous.
Terrible.
Oh my gosh, this is a crazy stat. You want to hear a crazy stat right now?
Love it.
Okay. Yeah. In Yanni's 20 matches at NCAAs, he got as many bonus points as Wyatt Hendrickson did on the backside of NCAAs this year.
Wait, what? In Yanni's
20 matches, so all 20 of his matches at NCAAs, he only has 4 bonus points.
Yeah.
That is equal to how many Wyatt Hendrickson had 2 matches on the backside this year.
Yeah. That is a wild stat.
Crazy. Hey, I got to run. It's 9:45.
We did it.
I
Good
got
show.
a tight timeline today. I won't be here Monday and Wednesday. I'm actually going on vacation with my family. St. Louis, baby. Going to see my friend Marcus Hayne and Joy Garrity. Should be a great time.
Have fun on vacation, Ben. We'll have fun doing this show. Carrying your water. You can hear that. That's perfect. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. 912 of these bad boys. 913 coming up on Monday. Gonna have a special guest next week sometime. One Helen Maroulis. You may be familiar with her work. The Lady Goat here in America. And we'll look forward to that. I think it'll be Monday or Wednesday. I'm thinking it's going to be Wednesday. I'll keep you updated on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great, great, great weekend. See you next time. Goodbye.